Y'all, I'm back for another review of Love and Marriage Huntsville, Stirring the Pot Over Drink, Season 9, Episode 8. Y'all gonna have to bear with me, excuse me, because my voice is it's just not strong. All right. So, they're back at the barbecue. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. I hope y'all had a good week. This week I have just been sick. It's just been a lot. But that's not what we here for. All right, so back at the barbecue graduation party. Marquez gets up to introduce himself as the father. Ken, them showing you in the confessional and you're saying you can't come in here. This isn't my house. This is my family too. That doesn't suffice. Not for me. It doesn't. It was mad disrespectful, period. But additionally, you created a scene that took the moment away from the kids that you claim to love so much. That shit wasn't cool. It wasn't. And I like Ken, but I don't defend bullshit. All right. Anyway, Mel is laughing and saying, "Ooh, this been interesting. Ooh, since we were over there at the food, there's been some interesting conversations." And just like that, Mel stopped laughing and said, "Speaking of interesting conversations," and conveniently, everybody had left the table but Maurice. So she said, "Well, I've been having some conversations with people." Mel, that was messy and crazy as hell. The way you were able to switch and do that was not editing. That was not editing. You got straight to it. You said, "Let's throw water on a grease fire." And that you did. So she brings up his DUI. Now, what I have to give Mel is that she didn't mince words, okay? It did not change anything she said. She was clear. She said, "I thought your DUI was irresponsible. It was embarrassing and it was disappointing." Yup, that's true. But that's a lot of info for people to take. So she said the response the day after she felt like was inappropriate. She said, "I felt like instead of partying, you should have said something like, 'This could have ruined my life. This was a mistake,' so on and so forth." Like, it didn't look good yelling free Reese, and he's partying with a drink in his hand. Mel said, especially because amongst this friend group, you had been the more level-headed one. And before she could finish, he said, "I've also been the friend in the group who actually has informed opinions based off information he actually knows." I said, uh-oh, here we go. So she said it was a personal feeling because her grandmother lost her life to a drunk driver. That in itself should have made you retreat a bit, Maurice. And granted, you did not start this, but that should have told you where she was coming from. Now, he then tried to pull that Jedi mind trick that only works on Kimmy, not because Kimmy's not smart, but because she's a desperate pick-me that wants him as a husband so bad that she acts stupid and pushes her thoughts and intuition down. And says, "What do you actually know about what happened that day?" Like that was going to make her back down. And Mel came with guns locked and loaded. She said the police report. I said, "God damn." Hard to refute that one. I'm not saying people don't pad police reports, but this ain't a good week for people with DUIs or reality shows. Maurice, that wasn't a move. You would have been better off saying, "I'm just going to stop this right now and I'm going to go walk away." Like, I would have done that, okay? Or you could have just said, "Look, it's still in the hands of the law. I'm a lawyer. I can't talk about it." But you didn't do that. You didn't do that. You tried to back her down to make it seem like she was crazy. So he was doing that same stuff most men do to avoid responsibility. Start answering questions with a question to distract you from making your strong argument that they know is strong, but they want to discredit you and make you feel crazy so you don't challenge them. Kimmy has been the one taking up for you, Maurice. Not even you taking up for yourself on camera, because you really weren't taking up for yourself here. You weren't coming with any good statements. You weren't doing anything. And I'm like, "You've been to law school? Like, what?" So miss me. All right. So Mel said he said, "Were you there?" I was the only person that was there. So I'm the only person that knows anything. Mel said there wasn't an officer. Maurice, it's one of the times you should have just walked away and said, "You know what, Mel, I'm not doing this." That would have been the best way to walk away. Sometimes you got to do that. just to keep your shit from getting out there. So anyway, Maurice, honestly, Mel's line of questioning got you to talk more to her than you did to Kimmy at that kitchen table the next day, okay? So she checked him about his tone being defensive. Mel, what did you expect? Did you expect just to start bringing up somebody's DUI at somebody else's kid's graduation party and he wasn't going to get to like, don't play me. Okay, both of y'all was playing in our face. Now, she was saying that he didn't, she was basically criticizing his response or whatever. And he was like, what was my response? I said, Negro, anybody can YouTube your response or Google it as we speak. I remember that showing up on my timeline Memorial Day weekend. And the only person I follow is Mel. I had no idea why this was showing up. You at a party. And then it was just like, then all the other stuff started to flow. So stop playing with us. Stop. You made some bad decisions. Stop. Okay? He said, well, you're sharing your opinion essentially without being asked what was true. I mean, essentially, he said, you're sharing your opinion without being asked. And that was true. Mel, you did. And Mel said, you should have, you shared opinions with me without me asking and giving me advice without me asking you. He said, no, I haven't. I said, first of all, Maurice, you should have just deaded this and said, look, I can't talk about it, and walked away. How many times just on camera, we're not even talking about the things that don't make it to the show on camera. We're not even talking about what y'all probably done and said to her outside of the camera that we'll never know. How many times have we seen Maurice and Mel separately, Kimmy and Mel, and then Maurice, Kimmy, and Mel trying to convince Mel she should forgive Martell or get her to show up at an event with Martell or play that bullshit devil's advocate to stay in a screwed up marriage. Stop playing with me. Stop playing with me. So he said Mel is projecting because she associated her grandmother's death with him and his DUI. First of all, I think y'all are misusing some of these terms. Like if I heard trigger one more time, I need y'all to chill. And to say projection, why wouldn't she? You got a DUI, driving under the influence, because you were clearly either your vehicle was mismoving, so on and so forth. There is evidence that you had alcohol in your system and therefore could not drive the vehicle properly. And her grandmother died because of somebody like that. So don't do that. Don't do that. So Maurice was just talking a bunch of BS, and Destiny is, next thing we know, Destiny is giving her opinion on Mel, and Maurice is back and forth. Destiny talking shit about Mel. It's not working for you. We're not interested. We were barely interested with the Sonny and Moses stuff, and I had your back on that, Destiny, because I know a jealous bitch when I see one. But because I do know that about Sonny, I can also see it in you. Why are you here? Just go away. Far, far away and never come back. Shout out to Forrest Gump. Anyway, so he said him and Mel stand where they've always stood. He said, I understand where she's coming from. She's hurt right now. She's healing and she's looking for love. Pause. This is the thing, Maurice. For a lawyer, you are not really good at the mouth. You're not. And I would think these would be skills that you would be aware of. Certainly how to use them in a basic barbecue conversation. Anyway, if you don't get your ass out of here with that, who said she was looking for love or a relationship? Because when a woman has sense, now granted, it was not the best delivery from Mel, period. Okay, that was not the time. But everything else ain't going to pit. So, nevertheless. But when a woman is clear and direct, well-spoken, and not willing to play down and make excuses for men, it's because she's unhappy and she wants one. Because women have to have men to exist in this world. Now, granted, I am not meaning to take that to the extreme. I understand human beings need one another. But a woman can go on and live without a man. Men cannot do it. They've proven it. Even gay ones can. So quit acting like, oh, every time a woman calls you out, it's because she needs a man. What? Why? No, it's because she don't want to put up with that kind of bullshit to have one. Anyway, But the bullshit wasn't over. So Marquez comes over to the cast table, which we can tell is the cast table. Okay. Came over to the table and apologized and said, I want to reintroduce myself. I guess from the intro from 2 hours ago, if that long. I just know it went from night to day at summer. So who knows how long it was going. Something is wrong with him, though. Okay, something is very wrong with him. Marquez ain't got him all, but Trisha ain't got him either. So he's acting like a straight bitch. I'm sorry, that's the only thing I can conclude. You know how some boys can be in like the 7th or 8th grade, you know, that weird awkward time, and they aren't getting any play by girls or, you know, just stuff they want to have at that age that they can't get. And then they go around what they think are the popular, cool kids, and they make a loud fuss about something just to get attention. And then it becomes their thing. And even though people laugh at their thing, they're still getting attention, so they do it. He's acting like that at 40. Miss me, or however the hell old he is. He's too damn old to be acting like that. So his son walked over to him. Excuse me. His son walked over to him and said, can I talk to you? Then in the most performative manner he possibly could have, Marquez says, yeah, anything for my son. Stop. Stop. Okay? See, if that was true, you don't have to say it. His son asked him, what are you doing over there with them? Not in a loud or disrespectful manner. He did not raise his voice. And I actually really admire the way that young man handled it. Okay? Because he's still a kid, whether he's going to college or not. And he's having to intervene this way at something that was supposed to be for him. Produced by his parents. Okay? So, why is your son having to parent you, Marquez? That's how you know you're a narcissist. His son said, don't put yourself in that type of role. He was like, what, talking too much? And he was like, yeah. This means his son has witnessed this kind of stuff before, and that's really sad. Then Kim pulls him to the side, and I was like, oh my gosh. This is a lot of foolishness. Excuse me. So he said he doesn't like them being able to get together at a house or a party without an issue. Kim was like, I don't like that. And I was like, well, Ken, you shouldn't have created one. Anyway, he said, well, you're good, Ken. You have the kids, you have the house, you have the girl. So I know you ain't focused on me. Negro, he gonna have to focus on you because you still this woman's husband. And even though he's living in the same house with her, all of this is messy, okay? All of this is messy because y'all should have been gotten divorced. All right? Now, so Ken said, look, my job is to take care of this household, put food on the table, take care of my kids, take care of all the kids, and there's nothing in this world that could keep me from my kids. Basically pointing out the fact that he's, you know, not there for his kids regularly. Excuse me. Marquez said, can you even have kids? Not to move. Not to move. And if you can't, when you come across people who have kids, it feels like you want to overcompensate. Now, what Ken did by not introducing him at that party was screwed up. It was fucked up. It was wrong. It felt wrong just watching it. And Marquez saying that to him was also screwed up. Because that's a horrible thing to say to anybody. Knowing that's the case, it was horrible on both sides. I'm not even here to take a side. It was a fucking mess. And it was cruel, though. And you don't do that to people. But Ken didn't have to do that shit either. So Marquez goes on to say, I was raised that when a man comes to a family and into somebody's life, he introduces himself to the father of those kids. I said, that's how you were raised? So you were raised how another man should come to you when you inevitably leave and abandon your family. That's how you were raised, because the expectation was that you would walk out and leave your family. Y'all got to cut this bullshit out and quit expecting us to believe it. So Kim was like, you have to be present for that to happen, for me to even have a conversation with you. Not unreasonable, okay? I get they're having issues, but Trisha has got to be at the center of this conversation because she's telling too much of his business as far as I'm concerned. If Marquez knows that he can't have children, why does Marquez know that, Trisha? I'm serious. I want to know why. That's what I mean. And because they are y'all's kids, Ken shouldn't be going at this alone. I'm sure there are times for that, but considering this particular event for y'all's kids, you should have been right there. Okay? Because both of y'all were drinking. And neither one of y'all seem like people that hold y'all's liquor extremely well. Anyway, especially since y'all claim this is all for the kids. He said you set it up by not being involved, and this is why their baby girl, I don't like mentioning kids' names, even if their parents put them on TV. I like to be careful with that. And this is why your baby girl goes to school and calls me daddy. So Trish comes over and says, you weren't there when my mom and dad were in the grave. And he was like, yes, I was. Yes, I was. Now, the best part, honestly, this whole thing was the whole Huntsville cast and then the family watching all of this go down. They were sitting at the table. That's the part that was killing me. How everybody's conversation stopped to watch that shit out there. That's what was cracking me up. Like they were the cameramen and the producers. They were so quiet on the set, it didn't make no sense. So when she went over to the table, Trisha, Mel said, you know, Trish, you got to throw your little shade. And Mel said, I think she's still in love with him. She gets triggered too fast. Mel should know. Because just because you got divorced or even break up with somebody doesn't mean you stop loving them. It takes a while. And we damn sure saw that happen to Mel over and over again. So Mel is the appropriate source on this. Then Destiny says, somebody just said you still in love with your ex. Bitch, I would be like, my name is Mel. And Mel said, no, it's her current one. Like, this stuff couldn't go nowhere but left and far left. And they just kept doing it. She said he hasn't signed those papers yet. And he doesn't know. And I honestly thought this was going to end up like that Kimmy barbecue where Tisha and God rest her soul, Kiki got to fighting. So in my book, they still did pretty good, okay? Because we didn't see no blows. So Tisha, Trisha, like I just can't with all these names. And they keep putting people on these shows. They're adding Marquez to the series of M names. All right, I got to get through this because my voice. All right, they're all pretending like they're friends. Tisha, Kimmy, and Trisha. All right, we know y'all not, but okay. Tisha says she feels she's missing out on all the fun. Where were you, girl? Building that never ever house? Anyway, Kimmy said if she was recuperating, asked if Trisha had recuperated basically from the kids' party. They recounted the party events. We got it. I just gave it to you. Apparently, Trish said to them she was going down the line. Kimmy was talking about how she went down the line, saying, I'm going to slap Marquez, Martell, and then I'm going to slap Mel, so on and so forth. I was like, okay. When we see it, we'll believe it. So Trish tells them about the combo with Mel, asking all these questions about when she was at her house, which house was it, so on and so forth. So Trish was like, it sounds like she cares. Ma'am. She should. Because that was still her house when it was happening. That was still their home. And they were going through a very public divorce. And don't tell me in Huntsville you didn't know. And considering that you're on this show, you knew. Don't do it. Don't do it. And I would give a damn if somebody I was naive enough to invite on a trip with me had been talking to what was my group of friends, and we can use that word loosely, but you get the point, or a set of people that I've known longer than you have, about how you had dealings with my ex-husband when he was still technically my husband, and then accepted the invite and never said a word to me until they brought it up in front of me. Who wouldn't be hurt by him continuing to have women in their home going back to that very painful place? So don't try to act like it's unreasonable. You got to deal with that. Is she not supposed to care simply because they're divorced? And if that's the case, you seem to care about Marquez the way y'all were fighting. And you seem to care about your dealings with Martell so much that neither of you want to tell the truth. And that's why y'all can't keep the story straight. So I don't think you really want to pull that card, Trish. At least not with a viewer like me, because I'm not here for it. All right. Yeah. You up here chatting with Tisha, and she's the one who called you out in front of Mel. You should have addressed that. And how she brought up how they These are supposed to be your friends. Anyway, y'all some fake bitches. So Trish tells them about her bringing up the Maurice situation. Mel bringing up the Maurice situation. Mel asked her how come they didn't intervene. They were apparently at the same place. And Trish said nobody seemed so drunk they couldn't drive. Okay. Nobody has a breathalyzer necessarily at whatever. So Tisha was like, she didn't like the fact, she was like, I didn't like the fact, you know how Tisha dogs, that Mel was trying to insinuate other stuff. Now, in fairness, Tisha did finally have the gall to say stuff to Mel that way that she's actually at the table with. But we know she'll be on some bullshit before it's over. All right, Tisha is telling Kimmy that she brought up the red lipstick. Now, Kimmy says, well, she talked to me first, and she didn't bring it up. Kimmy, she did try to discuss it with you. And y'all kill me acting like we don't have this stuff on tape. Y'all killed me with that. So she was like, she told you, like, Kimmy, you told her you weren't going to talk about it, whatever. So she moved on the same way y'all did with anybody who would listen on camera to make Mel the villain during her divorce that Martell clearly caused. And then kept having these empathetic conversations with him on camera, and then said, well, you know, yeah, Mel should do this and that, and that. Stop playing. Stop it. We could look at that with that Houston trip last year. Don't play. All right, so Tisha said maybe she was afraid to bring it up to you because she didn't want the Baltimore Kimmy to come out. Well, Baltimore Kimmy come out. Let's see what happened. Let's liven this shit up a bit. Anyway, first of all, she did address you as she addressed your husband directly to his face, okay? She did go to you first. You ain't want to talk. Now, granted, that's your right. Don't get me wrong. But I'm just saying, don't act like she never brought this shit up to you. So you're saying she hates when people make assumptions about her based on social media? Absolutely she does. And y'all do too. Weren't y'all the ones attacking her over and over again about the quote-unquote millimeters ruining y'all's businesses and y'all's lives and why she should apologize? Y'all was just doing that on a trip she paid for. When y'all was complaining about them basement rooms, y'all should have taken y'all's ass back home to Huntsville. Anyway, but Kimmy, you first of all need a vocab lesson. You up here saying to them, her plight in life is to prove that everyone else is cheating. Kimmy, I'm just going to help you out a little bit so this don't happen again. Plight refers to a difficulty or challenge one struggles to overcome if they ever do. What you probably meant to say was that her aim or her goal in life is to do the following. So I'm going to need you just to make sure when you try to like pop off at the mouth that you got the words right. Okay? I'm trying to help you out. So why not say, she was like, why not say it to me? She did. And you pulled that bullshit. It's not for me to talk about, The stuff she is saying, all the stuff Kimmy's dealing with is because of Maurice. And you have yet to get clear answers from him based on what we see. And if we watching the show and this is what we're seeing, that's what I'm commenting on. Okay? So now granted, Kimmy, I wouldn't want people to do that to me either. I would not. You have every right to be upset or hurt by it. Don't get me wrong. I understand why you were upset. However, you're hearing this bullshit based on Maurice's behavior in the same way that Mel caught so much backlash because of Martell's behavior as if it was her fault. So this isn't about you in the way you're trying to make it. It's upsetting you because she's not willing to turn a blind eye to Maurice's bullshit the same way y'all did. And it's giving y'all what y'all gave her. And now y'all want her to act like y'all give y'all all this grace. Girl, you got to go to the Lord for that because I could have told you people ain't going to give it to you. And my thing is, when Mel said to you, I know what it is to be in a marriage where your spouse is embarrassing you and you have to deal with the repercussions. That's not my problem. The repercussions aren't mine. The fuck they ain't. So, but when you were going through, and this is just an aside. When you were going through breast cancer, Kimmy, which was a very scary time for you, and we were all praying for you, and Tisha was barely reaching out because she was still mad about you saying some stuff or telling her the truth. Mel was the one checking on you. Mel was the one throwing you parties of support that Tisha and Marceau just showed up to. And your family. And when somebody has cancer, I don't care what anybody says, that's a crisis. My mother's had it twice. It's a crisis. And you were still part of the group that had been talking about Mel, gossiping about her when she wasn't around, enjoying, hearing Martell and his bullshit. And she still did those things for you because it was the right thing to do. I am not suggesting that when somebody does something kind for you, you owe them for the rest of your life, because you don't. But I am saying that's something you should consider while you sit around talking to the same bitches that didn't have your back then. Now, granted, maybe you didn't know Trisha, but you damn sure had known Tisha. Anyway, so then Kimmy was like, based on what Tisha told her about the lipstick, she says that's the humor because he was with me and you, Trisha. We were together. So why was he in his car by himself, leaving whatever event y'all were at together that night? And you go home and just think he went to the office and he didn't text or tell you anything. So much so that you went down to his office to check to see if he was there, realized he wasn't there, and didn't know where he was because apparently you could not get this motherfucker on the phone. Girl, bye. If that was the case, that would have been the first thing you said to Mel when she set you down. There's more to it than that. Quit playing with us. Nell and Chris, another whacked out scene. Their scenes are forced. When we try to treat them like a regular couple, they should just kind of be friends of the show because of the age gap, I think. Makes it difficult to take them as seriously. Apparently her son Lance had a conversation with Fletcher and told him that she doesn't want to do their 30th anniversary vow renewal party. She said she wants a small party instead. And Chris was like, well, this is a big deal. And, once again, one of their children has been locked up 3 times in a year. She said she used her money to take care of it. And Chris was like, well, it's not just me. She was like, no, as a woman, as a female, and as his mother, apparently the money was coming directly out of her pocket. Because these are both people that make their own money. Whatever. And I'm going to be honest. I actually agree that, yes, she should have a party for her 30th anniversary. She should be able to go and enjoy that. And, Chris was telling her she's not alone. But I appreciate Nell having an honest conversation about money. And I appreciate her approach to money. Because they're not the kind of people that, or she's not the kind of person that's willing to spend it just because you have it for something that's not a necessity. Getting your son out of jail, who wouldn't want their son to be safe? Necessity. At the, whatever. And I respect that. Instead of trying to pretend like, oh, we got all this. And I'm sure they have it. But that don't mean you want to spend it. And I think she's upset because of her mother's death. And she's going off in the bathroom saying, I look crazy. He said, no, you don't. You look pretty. And I said, you know what? That's sweet. But let's have this stuff in the car. Because that white man that was in the back, I noticed him, seemed to be enjoying the argument. What he appeared to be, black dysfunction, I guess. Latricia and Marquez meet up at the ice cream shop to talk about co-parenting. Then that seemed like a small date for some reason. But I'll leave it alone. They're still bickering. We don't care. Kimmy and Mel meet up. Kimmy said she's keeping her promise to not let things fester. We know how this goes. But moving on. Kimmy brings up that she knows this information about what Mel's been saying because of Trisha and Tisha. I was thinking to myself, you also know because of the way she was talking to Maurice. But okay. And Mel was like, well, it's all over the internet, Kimmy. So Kimmy said, well, the lipstick part was out of line. I said, yeah, you better stick with that. Because the police report is out there. Yeah. The one Maurice said don't count because Mel just wasn't there. Anyway, so she said, Mel, the implication was basically, where was he? And I was like, that was definitely the implication. It's still the question I had, but that's just me. Mel said, well, I don't owe you this conversation. That wasn't exactly what she said. She said the same exact line Kimmy said to her when it was on that exercise mat, okay? Because you didn't want to talk about it with me when I originally brought it up to you. You didn't say wait until the facts came out. You didn't say any of that. You just shut it down. And Mel said, so I backed off. Now, Mel, you did not back off immediately. You kept asking questions and making statements, which meant that, Kimmy, you also had plenty of time to check her. And you did not. And clearly, this is where Okay? And so Kimmy was like, well, I'm asking you a direct question. And so I deserved a direct answer. Mel said, I guess Mel in her mind said, I'm matching energy today. Nope. I mean, I'm giving you as much as you gave me on camera when I tried to talk about this when it had just come. So messy. I totally understand why Kimmy feels the way she does. Hell, Mel said, I understand why you feel the way you do. She was also telling you that when she first sat down with you because she's been in a similar predicament. Kimmy said, well, why would you say that? Do you have proof or evidence? Doing the same shit Maurice does. Prove to me. Even if the police report, no, she don't have proof or evidence. That we know of. And we know Martell ain't got it. We already, never mind though. Mel said, well, go ask Maurice that. Not me. I said, ooh, whoo. She chose violence. So y'all have been playing these same games. Okay? Asking Mel these very personal, hurtful questions in front of her. Getting at the reunion. When Mel needs to have a moment and just kind of like ask you a question. Kimmy, you ignoring her or acting like you don't hear her. Doing that kind of bitchy shit. Not offering her any level of comfort or conversation. Y'all want Mel to demonstrate this level of empathy towards you all that you all have never had for her. I mean, honestly, the lipstick is proof if you know. Okay, girl, you didn't say it was mine. That was the color I was wearing. Okay. When Kimmy said my conversations are my conversations, I don't want to get lumped into with the group. And you know what? Originally, Kimmy, I gave you that. Because I just started to see the light recently. Because I really did try to give you like the fair and reasonable one. But you that kind of quiet friend that keeps up the bullshit. And because you will just say stuff directly and let other people carry it out. You really the one sitting around hating on somebody and keeping it going. And I don't like bitches like you. Okay? Now, Mel said, look, I know what you want, but basically I'm not giving it to you. Turns out next episode, Fletcher hooked up Martell and Trish. Now, Kimmy, you seem to care a lot about that conversation, about the same stuff you were saying Mel shouldn't give a damn about because her and Martell are now divorced. So why is that even a topic of conversation, and why is it coming up at another event? That's what I thought. Anyway, y'all be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'll talk to y'all soon. And Merry Christmas in case I don't talk to you before then. Bye.